All right. Hello, everybody. We got our recording cooking. It is March 9th. So we're deep into March already. Well, not deep, but beginning of March. All right. Last week we did an interesting call where we evaluated a marketing piece that was basically it was a podcast, for lack of a better word, but it was actually live on the radio. And I got the recording, we went through it. I know a lot of you guys were here for that. And I broke down all the pieces. It was absolutely phenomenal the way that they wove almost everything I talk about into that one advertisement. Was really cool. If you didn't get to see that, you might want to look at last week's call. It was really cool. It was a 30-minute presentation. And it took a lot longer than that because I stopped every time he did something and kind of broke it down and told you, okay, here's what he's doing. Here's why he's doing it. So it was really a cool exercise to do that. So this week, let's get started. Anybody have anything you want to hop out with? Any questions? If you do, go ahead and use the little hand guy there, the reaction thing, to put your hand up, and we will get into your questions. One of the things that I came across this week was more people, I guess branding is really kind of coming to life. A lot of people, a lot of promoters are promoting branding now. Branding is an interesting thing. Branding is really good. I talk about, like, if you have really good marketing, it kind of eliminates the need for good salespeople. Well, if you have really good branding, it almost eliminates the need for marketing. I'm never going to say you don't need marketing, but really good branding, people will buy things for inclusion. They want to be part of something. And that's where branding comes into play. Like, why do people buy Nike sneakers? You know, is it maybe Michael Jordan created a brand? You know, they created a brand around a superstar. You know, so they want to buy that because of that. There are people that won't buy anything unless it has a little apple on it. You know, you guys know what I'm talking about. iPhones, it has to have an apple. They won't buy a computer without an apple on it. You know, that is branding. Yeah, there's Russ with his little apple. They won't even consider another product because of the brand. They've bought in, they love the brand, they love what the brand represents, and they want to be part of something, which is awesome. I mean, if you guys can create a brand that people gravitate towards, your marketing is going to be a lot easier. It's going to be a lot easier to sell them stuff, especially new stuff. Every time you come out with something, they're going to want it. Like for me, if you look at my brand, the brand that I've developed, who would want to be part of it if I called it Internet Dabblers, right? Nobody wants to be a dabbler, right? They don't want to dabble in the internet. They want to dominate the internet. So I called it Internet Dominators. People want to be a dominator. You know, if you're going to do something, I don't know of anybody that would go into sports not wanting to win, right? If you want to be part of the winning team, that's what branding is. You're building a winning team that people want to join. So branding is, you know, and I rarely talk about it. Branding isn't really melded into the ACT program in any way, but I think it's worth at least an overarching discussion about it so you guys understand where it fits in. A lot of times when you're a little guy and you're just starting out, brand isn't really a concern. Your biggest concern is, how am I going to get people to see my products and purchase them? So you're so laser focused on that. And it's why a lot of small companies remain small, because they didn't like create the brand. It's a brand that's going to go big, not necessarily a product in most cases. A product attached to a brand allows the brand to create more products, and people will always want to buy under the brand. It's almost like you've probably heard this before, but a really good salesperson, it doesn't matter what they're selling because you know, like, and trust them. So if they sell a different product, you're most apt to purchase that product from them, even whether you need it or not, because you know, like, and trust them. It's the same thing with a brand. If you develop a brand that people know, like, and trust, and you come out with a new product, they're most likely going to buy it from you, whether they need it or not. And Apple is a perfect example of that. You know, like I said, I know people that will not purchase a phone unless it's got that piece of fruit on it. They won't buy a computer unless it's got the fruit on it. It amazes me. There could be a better product. It doesn't matter. They want the fruit on it because of the brand. So if you create a really strong brand, people will gravitate toward it, and it's almost like they will defend that brand like it's their own. It's really a cool thing. I know back in the 90s, me and my brother, we created a company, and originally we were going to sell fishing lures because we wanted to write off all of our boats and our fishing equipment and all that. So what better than a fishing company to do that, right? So we start up this company to sell fishing lures. And in part of my research and analysis of figuring out what makes a lure company a good lure company, makes them successful, the one thing I recognized was every successful lure company had a t-shirt associated with it. And they got people to wear the t-shirts. So when you walked around the fishing shows and docks, you would see these lures on everybody's backs, and that would make you want the lure, right? And that's what I saw. So told my brother, I'm like, all right, we got to have a line of t-shirts if we want to do this right. So then I went into the research on the t-shirts, and I came back to him and I said, hell with the lures, the profits in the shirts. We make 10 times as much selling the shirts. Hell with the lures. We are not a lure company. We're a sport fish t-shirt company. And we developed a line of sport fishing shirts. And my brother, you know, I'm a big guy, but my brother like dwarfed me. He wore a 6X t-shirt, right? You have large, you have medium, large, XL. Most of you have heard about 2X. And then there's 3X. Well, he was a 6X, right? So I can't now develop a t-shirt company without fitting him. So I had to have my line of shirts go all the way up to 6X. So now I open myself up to a whole new market of big and tall. The big and tall market, you know, I talk about profitable niches, profitable segments of markets. Those guys, they are thirsty for new cool stuff because nobody caters to them. And they don't care how much it costs. So you can sell those bigger shirts for way more money. It's the same shirt, it's the same fabric, it's the same print, but they'll pay way more for it because no one caters to them. So as I'm thinking, what's the brand going to be? Because it's no longer a lure company, right? We had a really cool name for our lure company. I don't even remember what it was now. It's faded into the blackness, but I remember the shirt company because we developed a brand for it. And what we called it was prescription sportswear. And that brand everybody wanted because of the meaning behind it. A big guy, he can't just get any over-the-counter shirt. He needs a prescription. He's full strength fashion. And because of the marketing we were able to create around that brand, people clamored for it, just like the fruit on the computers and the phones. Everybody wanted a prescription. Nobody wanted an over-the-counter shirt anymore. So we killed it. We absolutely killed it in that market because of the brand. The shirts, everyone had the shirts. You know, we would have been one in many shirts available, but no, we were prescription. full strength fashion. That's why people wanted our shirts. So brand is a cool thing. Brand could be a very powerful thing. And like I said, I don't really talk about it in the ACT program because it's not really a wing of the marketing end. ACT is all about marketing. It's all about, figure out who you're selling to, figure out what they want, why they want it, how do you grab their attention, how do you create demand and desire, eliminate objections, make an offer. That's ACT, and it comes right out of the ad agency formula. Now, the ad agency formula doesn't really, I haven't seen where it really, I've never seen them develop brands. So brands is more of like, there's probably some guy in a dark room that's really good at this game that's developing the brands and nobody knows how he does it. But I know with me, I try and figure out, again, back to analysis, what do people want? One thing I know, people all want to be different. They don't want to buy the same thing, with the exception of the Apple. That's an anomaly. I don't get that one. But it's something about, they've attached that Apple to something, creativity, I think. People want to be creativity. Maybe that's where the different factor comes in. But that's what you got to do. You got to figure out what is it that is going to make your brand stand out. What's going to make people want to be part of the brand? And people always want to associate themselves with something. Like, remember I said nobody would want to be an internet dabbler, so I didn't call my company Internet Dabblers, right? Nobody wants to dabble. They might want to dominate. People might want to be part of that. That's why I called it Internet Dominators. I went to the opposite end of the scale. So figure out, what they want. And another thing I know about Dominators, the reason that came into the picture was one thing I know about business owners. They're very competitive. They want a competitive edge. So being able to dominate a market is a very appealing thing. And even, it doesn't matter man or woman, even a woman, she doesn't want to dabble because that's far from security. She wants to dominate the business. So, like I said, it comes back to, if you're going to play, you play to win. Nobody plays to lose. Nobody opens a business to lose. Nobody buys a product to be part of a losing team, right? When the Super Bowl's over, what happens to the losing team t-shirts? They'll go in the trash, right? They print both sides. They sell the winning side. They don't sell the losing side. Yeah, there's still some fans that are dedicated, but not like the winning team. People will buy the winning team even if they didn't like it, because it's the winning team. They want to be part of the winning team. So when you're thinking about your brand, if you're at that point in your game, think about that. What do people want to be a part of? And that should be a core part of your brand. So, all right, let me answer a couple questions here. If anybody has questions, go ahead and put the hand thing up. Daryl, come on out, unmute. And yep.
Hello, John. Can you hear me?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
I have a kind of a quick question.
Hello. You're coming through. Is he coming through for anybody? It's all broken up for me. Is he coming through for anybody?
Can you hear me?
I can now.
Okay, I'll give this a shot. I might have a bad connection. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you might want to log off.
Question regarding.
Yeah, you might want to.
Okay, I'll try it again.
Yeah, just go ahead and log off and then try coming back in. In the meantime, Rashid.
Hello. To answer your question about what makes Apple stand out and why people are crazy about it, well, Steve Jobs made it clear that he was a weirdo And that's what he talks about. He talks
Yeah.
about being different. And so it plays right into the fact that people want to be different. And he was the one who said it. It's the weirdos of the world who think they can change the world are the ones who do.
That's awesome.
So,
But see what kind of following. The guy is not even with us anymore, and
right.
his brand lives on.
Yeah. Well, when he hired the guy who's running the Apple now, he was, I think he was a VP of Pepsi Cola, and he
Yeah.
went to him and he said, "Well, do you want to keep selling sugar water or you want to change the world?" And that got his attention.
Yeah, that is right on the money. They want to be different. The whole creative part of things.
Yeah. My question, you were talking about branding, and that's why I raised my hand because so right, my brand as a strength is embrace your inner weirdo.
Yeah.
I've been known as Mr. Weirdo for 20 years. And it has to be spelled MIST or weirdo. If you put MR dot weirdo or MR weirdo, you'll get different results than if you put spelled out Mr. Weirdo
Yeah.
in Google. You'll get me, otherwise you won't.
Yeah. There's something. One thing you should always do is always Google your terms. Like if you're thinking of calling your product something or calling your business something or your brand, always Google it and see what Google thinks it means.
Right.
Might not be
So
what you want.
when I came up with the moniker of Mr. Weirdo, I wasn't thinking brand. I wasn't even thinking it being my brand at that time. I was just, it was something that it came up on the spur of the moment. I was given an opportunity to speak and I was asked to write an introduction, and that's where it came in. And the lady who was introducing me kept apologizing for having to call me Mr. Weirdo. And I said, well, hey, that's a good one. If people are not comfortable, then it stands out. So I stayed with it, and now people not only are recognizing, they see that embrace you in a weird, and they go, yeah, right on, brother. So
Yeah.
now here's my challenge. What I'm currently teaching and what I plan on teaching is things about prosperity, building businesses, being prosperous, making money. How do I combine the weirdo and prosperity?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was just going to say. Because sometimes just the word weirdo isn't necessarily positive, right?
Mhm.
You're seeing it you're seeing it in a very positive way.
Right.
But to the world, you have to package it so they see it the same way that you see it.
Right. And that's why the phrase embrace your inner weirdo does communicate that positive aspect of it.
Yeah.
For most people.
It's a piece of it, though. It's not your headline. It's like your tagline.
Right.
What your headline needs to do is your headline needs to use weirdo as the unique mechanism to deliver the result. So you're selling prosperity, business success, right?
Correct.
So being, you want to attach that like prosperity and success through embracing your inner weirdo.
Okay.
So something along that line where you're connecting that being a weirdo is the way that's going to make you successful.
Correct.
That's
okay.
That's going to lead you to prosperity.
Okay, I see what you're saying. My current, I have a podcast. Well, I still have it. I'm not actively putting it out. I haven't in the last 8 months. But my podcast was known as Embrace Your Inner Weirdo. And the tagline for the podcast at that time was a podcast with an attitude. And I interviewed people with attitude who were strong in their opinion and who were unconventional, non-conventional type people.
Yeah.
I am thinking
They
about
were weirdos.
right. They were weirdos. Now I'm thinking about kind of rebranding the podcast and restart it and calling it Embrace Your Inner Weirdo, your key to happiness, success, and entrepreneurship.
Okay.
Because that's also the tagline for my book,
So
which is a manual on success, happiness, and entrepreneurship.
yeah, here's another thing that you want to think about. This is for everybody. Think about if what you're attaching as the outcome is what they really want. Are they staying up late at night wishing they had this? And
Okay.
and I've had this conversation with a lot of people around happiness. I don't know of anybody that's laying in bed at night wishing for happiness.
Okay.
You know,
Success, yes.
Success, yes, but even that, what is the success for?
Definition, yes. Okay.
Always ask yourself, what's so good about that? And the other question to ask is, why do you want that? What's that going to do for you? If you start thinking those questions and keep asking them, think about this question as a tank of fuel. You want to burn it dry. You want to run that tank empty. You ask the question till the question cannot be answered again.
Right.
Like, what's so good about that? What's so good about that? Why do they want that? What's that going to do for them? So I think what ultimately, in the case of an entrepreneur, what they want all this for, like the first thing they'll tell you is, I want to make $1 million a year.
Yeah.
That's a superficial answer. So if you say, what's so good about $1 million? What's that going to do for you? Yeah, if you keep asking them, ultimately they're going to say, well, it's going to allow me freedom to do whatever I want, whenever I want to do it, with whoever I want to do it with.
Correct. Freedom lifestyle.
Now you're to the core value. When you get to the core value, now you've got to the emotion. Now you've got something that's going to get their attention, because that's what they really want. You know, it's like people that buy Ferraris. They don't buy a Ferrari because it goes 200 miles an hour, because when can they do that, right? They're not driving the car. In fact, most of them would crap their pants if they got near 200 miles an hour. That's not why they buy that car.
Right.
They buy that car to put it in their driveway so their neighbors envy them. It's significance.
Right.
That's why you generally don't see women buying Ferraris. They're more concerned with security. They'd take that money from that car and they'd put it into an investment, and they'd have income that makes them feel secure. Right? They have just a gobs of money before they would even consider buying a Ferrari. And then it just doesn't mean what it means to a man. Right? Unless you just get a really aggressive woman and they're out there, they'll do it just to piss the guys off. Because they're competitive. They're like, hey, I can live in a man's world. I can compete with you. You're nothing. And they exist. That's why this world is full of all kinds of people. They say there's a lid for every pot. But in marketing, what you have to do is you have to figure out, is there enough of those to make it worth me spending my time to market to them? Are they going to be profitable for me? So you don't want to market to everybody. Sue Brooks, she came up with a really great line. And we do avatar training in Alignable, and I do that with her. And she came up with this slide. It's fantastic. It says, if you're marketing to everyone, you're marketing to no one.
No one.
Yeah. So it's really true. So you got to really kind of focus it down. But with yours, you're in the business success business.
Right.
And the reason that they want that is achieving freedom, right?
Mhm,
And it's
mhm.
not just financial freedom, because money is not really freedom. Time is freedom.
Right.
And you can't get all that spare time without a lot of money. They kind of go hand in hand.
Mhm.
So what you need to do is you need to attach freedom to being a weirdo.
No. Well, I've been teaching freedom lifestyle for the last 12, 13 years. My
Yeah.
my Facebook feed are filled with freedom lifestyle posts. And
Yeah.
I have a domain called Freedom Lifestyle Seminars
Yeah.
that
And
I got 20, 15 years ago.
here's how you should use a formula right out of the ACT program to put that in your favor. So whenever you're trying to convince someone of something, you're trying to convince them that if you're a weirdo, I can show you the way to freedom, right? Embrace your inner weirdo. That's what you're saying. So a lot of people think that weirdos are never going to be successful because they're just a weirdo, right?
Mhm.
They might have that thought in their head. Doesn't mean it's true, but it's true to them in that given point in time.
Right.
So for you to be able to sell to them, that's an objection. That's a hidden objection. They're not going to state it. They're just not going to purchase your product because of it. So you have to know it's there. And I it's there now because I'm telling you it's there. It exists.
Mhm.
So that if you have people that don't buy the product and you don't ask them why, you can just assume that's why. You didn't
Okay.
eliminate that objection.
That objection.
So
Okay.
the way we eliminate objections comes right out of Benjamin Franklin's mouth. It's claim, proof, benefit. So you have to make a claim that's contrary to their belief. So
Okay.
your claim might be every successful businessman that has achieved true freedom is a weirdo.
Okay.
That's your claim. And it's
Mhm.
contrary to their belief, right?
Right.
Like you believe, yeah, the weirdos aren't successful,
Right.
right? It's the exact opposite. But now you have to follow it up with proof. And you have to show them proof points.
Right.
It's not you just saying it. It's proof, third-party verification that what you just told them is a fact. It's not
Mhm.
your opinion. It's a fact. Like, look at Steve Jobs. The guy never wore shoes to school. He went to school, he didn't wear shoes. He's a weirdo, right? One of the most successful businessmen of our age, a
Right.
weirdo.
And he
So,
always wore a gray t-shirt.
yeah, he always wore the same color t-shirt. He was weird. He did weird shit. The guy was as weird as it gets. And he's one of the most successful businessmen of our time. Right? That's
Mhm.
third-party verification.
Correct.
And you can name some others, name some others.
Jim
And it doesn't,
Carrey.
yeah. Well, he's paid weirdo. I don't know that he would be a good example. He's a paid weirdo. But take really successful businessmen and show how they're weird. We're not talking about CEOs. CEOs have to be cut from a certain cloth. They have to fit in
Correct.
a form. Those guys are cookie cutter.
Correct.
They're not weird, or they don't get the position.
Right.
But you're talking about as an entrepreneur. You're talking about a business.
Richard Branson.
Yeah, exactly. Show how weird that guy is. That's a perfect example. They don't get any weirder. That guy's a nut job.
You're telling me.
Yeah,
He's my hero. Yeah.
seriously. So connect the dots, 2 proof points, all you need. So you've got a claim, you've got your 2 proof points, and now attach it to the benefit. Attach being weird to the benefit, which is the outcome, the freedom. How would you like to be in the 1% club? The 1% club, they don't stand in lines. The 1% club goes to the front of the line.
Right.
The 1% club flies first class. In fact, they fly their own private jets.
Right.
They don't wait in line for tickets. They have a limo show up at the tarmac and they're escorted onto their private plane. That's freedom. They don't have to wait. They don't have to sit in terminals. They don't have to have delayed flights. They don't waste time. Their time is precious. And they have all of it in the world.
Yep.
So talk about what they really want. That makes sense?
Absolutely, absolutely. So now it's all coming together. It's all coming together.
Yeah, that should make it crystal clear.
Yeah.
And for any of you, the same thing. What I just did with Rashid, you need to do that. You need to figure out, what are your objections? How are you going to get them to associate what you're selling with what they want? And that's actually a kind of a brand conversation too, because he's creating a brand about being a weirdo. So he's going to take people that all their life they've thought, no, I don't want to be a weirdo. I don't want to be on the radar as a weirdo. And he is shifting their thought process to, I want to be a weirdo. I want that. I want what that's going to get me. And then who sells the weirdo brand? They go to Rashid. They're going to go out on the internet. They're going to type, where's the weirdo brand? And all roads are going to lead to Rashid. That's the way you want to do it. All roads lead back to you for the solution you just provided. That's where you've got to be unique mechanism. When they go to search it, because you're going to sell them on the idea. And the first thing that they're going to do is they're going to go research it. And if other people, if you're pointing them to your competitors, you just took a loaded gun and shot yourself in the foot.
Right.
That day doesn't end well. You want to be flying on your private jet, not sitting in the ER with a hole in your foot. So that's where uniqueness comes into play.
And that's my definition of a weirdo, being unique or acknowledging your uniqueness, because we're all unique anyway.
Yeah. As you educate them on your process, that's where you can kind of take the edge off the weirdo, but you're going to lead with it. So if you're leading with something that they're seeing as not a good thing, you damn well better connect it to what they want real fast.
Got it.
You don't have a lot of time in this game. It's not like, your cat at home where you can play with them with a ball of yarn for 10 minutes to get them excited. That ain't happening in the marketing world.
Right.
You've got seconds to grab their attention. Literally seconds. So the bigger the club you can swat them with, the bigger the club, the better it is.
Yeah. I had a guest on my podcast whose motto is be kind and bring a bat.
Yeah. Well, that was actually a presidential term. Speak softly, but carry a big stick. I think that was Roosevelt. I'm not totally sure on that. Somebody could probably correct me, but I think it was Roosevelt. All right, let's try Daryl again. See if you got a better connection.
Okay, can you hear me this time?
Better.
Yep.
A little better. Okay. So I have a quick question regarding like SEO optimization. And the last time you talked about it, I was kind of like a little scared just because you never know really who you're dealing with. I have a website through Wix.
Okay.
And occasionally I come across, it must be companies out there figuring out who has what websites. And, they talk about improving your position in Google could be easy if you know what to do. Sure. And then, of course, they run all the analysis and they give you a free report, which indicates, point by point, the errors your website has and what to do to significantly enhance its status. and all the things that you need to know to improve its place in the ranking. And of course, the report is free. And then you can either, implement all the changes yourself, or of course, you can get one of their experts for a fee to do it.
Yes. That
Um,
is a sales and marketing tactic.
yeah, of course. So what do you feel as though, I mean, is it like, if you don't want to deal with doing it yourself, is it worth it? Is it easy to do yourself? What's your opinion?
Well, SEO in general is very worthwhile.
Okay.
Got a echo from somewhere here. I don't know if it's coming from you, Joel, or I'm gonna mute you out there. I think the echo is coming from you. So I'll talk and then you can unmute again. But SEO is very worthwhile if people are searching for what you have, be it your product directly or the solution that you provide, or anything to do with your business. If they're searching, if they're aware and they're on Google or on Bing or on Yahoo and they're searching, and it could even be YouTube, any place that's searchable, and they're searching for a solution or for a product or anything, that is the absolute best point in time for you to be there to meet them, right? Because they're in motion. What this is this is in motion marketing. That's the absolute best point in time where you can be there for them. Every other form of advertising is disruptive. You're trying to grab their attention when they don't want you. So you're a nuisance in most cases. Now, sometimes you just, you're right place at the right time and you grab their attention for something they might want, but they weren't looking for it right now. And that is okay. But it's still nuisance marketing. It's not in process, in motion. So that is the best point in time where you can reach them. So SEO is absolutely worth the effort. Now, SEO costs money even if you do it yourself. This is a big thing that people don't understand. They think, oh, SEO is free. It's free traffic, right? It takes a lot of work for you to optimize a site and convince Google that they should place yours at the top of all the other 10 billion sites on the planet, for any given keyword. So it's not an easy thing to do. There's a lot of work involved. There's a lot of research that has to go into it. There's a lot of things behind the scenes in the code of your site that need to be done. Now, as far as the report goes, I know those reports. I've got software that will generate them. I never send them out because I don't solicit that way. But the truth is, I've never seen a site that would pass those tests. There's always errors and there's always stuff that can be found in HTML code that will trigger those errors. So those errors are not what prevents you from being at the top of Google. All that is that's a bait and switch thing to say, hey, your webmaster's not doing their job and that's why you're not ranking and that's why you should go with me. It's not true. But it's a lot of people are getting hit with that. Like, I have my customers all the time send me these reports that they have been sent. I get them myself. I get people soliciting me that they want to do my SEO. And I'm like, did you do any research at all of who you're marketing to here? Like, any? But everybody's getting them. That is one of the biggest spam balls on the planet right now is it's so easy to find out who has a website because you're all registered. You had to register your domain. So you're on a list. So these guys are buying these lists and they're running these reports automated and they're blowing them out. They're blasting them out to millions of people. In fact, there's even software now that will put them in to fill out your web forms. So if you guys have forms on your websites, you're probably getting spam in the forms now. So it's a very common one. Most of the companies that are doing that are scam artists, plain and simple. good, legitimate companies don't really do that. You know, they're getting their customers through other means. So back to the point of, is it worthwhile? It's absolutely worthwhile to do SEO. A lot of SEO you can do yourself. Now, being on Wix has gotten a lot better over the years, but Wix is still a platform that is a template-based version where they don't give you access to all the back-end coding. Some of the coding for SEO can only be done at that base level. So it's not going to be optimal. Not to say it might not work. For SEO, think about SEO this way. There's probably 100 different things that you could do. And each one of those things is like adding points. So think of it as a points-based system. At the end of the day, whoever has the most points is going to win the top spot. Of the 100 things, there's some things that you can do that will give you a lot more points than others. Like there might be 50 of those 100 things that you can spend a whole lot of time on that don't get you much points, where you can spend a little bit of time on this one thing and get a lot of points for it. So again, in any different keyword, in any different niche, there might not be a lot of points scored on any site. So it might be easier for you to get to the top. There's ones where there's a lot of money involved. There's people competing at a very high level. So you have to use all 100 of the things to get as many points as you possibly can to win the game. So I don't know if that's the most simplistic way I can explain how SEO works.
Okay, well that makes sense. Starting at like ground zero, what platform would you use to have access to all that back door activity?
Sure. So I think the easiest one for most people is going to be WordPress. WordPress gives you an open source platform that literally thousands of people have created plugins to give you access to the code without knowing how to code stuff. So WordPress is probably the most point and click. And I know that's why people go to Wix. They go for point and click. They don't want to have to learn how to develop a website. They want to just grab a template, put their content in, and be done. So with WordPress, I use a program or a plugin called Beaver Builder that turns WordPress into that sort of a program where you can just point and click and copy and paste and design your site just as though it was in Wix. But then you also have all the back-end horsepower of WordPress where you can get in and you can do all those other changes if you want to. You know, there's plugins in there for SEO purposes specifically. Now, as far as things to do, like if you want some of the biggest things that you can easily do to get the most points the fastest, on your actual site, your title and your description. These are things that are behind the scenes. They're not front end point and click. You have to do those in the back end. There's plugins to help you do that. But your title and your description in your website, that's the first thing that Google looks at. They look at your title to figure out, okay, what's this page about, right? They can't index your page for keywords unless they understand what it's about. And your title is the first thing that alludes to that. And Jim, actually in the chat, he's put his book in there. He wrote a book on SEO on how to understand it in a simple way. So you might want to grab that. But titles, the reason a title is so important is because when Google puts you at the top of the search engine, right, and you get on the first page, if people don't click on your link, you're basically telling Google you don't deserve to be there, right? And you only have two things in your favor to get them to click, and that's the title and the description. So if your title and your description are mediocre and you get a shot, you've done all the other things and Google puts you up there, gives you a shot at the title, and you fall down, they drop you, and it's real hard for you to come back from that. So title and description is what's going to get them to click. The more they click, the more Google decides, yeah, we made a good choice putting them on the front page. Maybe we should move them up the ladder a little bit and give them a better position. The more you perform, the more people interact with your site. It's not just about the coding of the site anymore. It's about the marketing of the site. It's about the user experience. So if you don't understand your market, if you don't understand your avatar, how are you going to get them to click? It'll be very important for you to understand what's important to them so you can get them to click on it. Titles and descriptions. It's almost as important as in a marketing campaign, a big idea. A marketing campaign without a big idea is going to fail. A website page without a good title and description is going to fail in the search engine results. If you do everything else perfect and you knock it out of the park, they're going to put you up. They're going to test you. They're going to give you a shot. But if you can't hold true, you're done. That shot might last 5 minutes. It might last a day. It might last a week. But ultimately, they're going to decide, yeah, this was not a good one to put on here. Let's test someone else. So title and description.
And the description can be any length. I mean, do you
No.
word-wise?
They truncate the description. I believe it's 64 characters. So one of the things that I do, this is a little secret trick that I do. I always use a cliffhanger on the description. Like, click here to get your free ... And I truncate it manually. And I put the ... So for them to figure out what they're going to get free, they have to click it. Right? So leave them on a cliffhanger if you want them to click. The other thing that has worked really well is putting a date or at least a year in the title, because if they see 10 listings, they have to decide which one do I want to click on. And if you're the only one with a date in it, all of a sudden, all the rest of the 9 look out of date. If you've got the current year's date, they're going to see that as the freshest content. They're going to click it. So that's another little trick that I use as far as getting them to click. You know, clickbait. I know we hate it, but in the search engines, if you get them to click, you're going to win. If you don't, you're going to lose. The other thing, if you give them clickbait, make damn sure when they hit the page that you're going to be able to hold their attention. You got to have good stuff for them or they're going to leave. If they click, they go to your website and then they hit the back button. What you just did was you told Google that I clickbaited them. They didn't like what they got. And they came back. Google does not like that at all. So you're not going to last. If you have a high bounce rate, if you look at your Google Analytics and you have a very high bounce rate, that's a bad thing. You want to have them consume your content. You want to get them to click through, go deeper, spend time on the site, and come back. Best thing for that is an opt-in box. Offer them something for free to get them to interact with the site right out of the gate. Once they're opted in, now you can send them emails with links to bring them back to the site. Google sees all of that. When Google sees people coming back to the site, they look back and they say, wow, we sent this person to them. They had such a good experience. They're going back on their own now. We should send more people to this site because we know they like it. So that's a very important piece of SEO is the AI, the artificial intelligence. Google is getting smarter by machine learning. They're learning what people like. And who do you think they want to send their customers to? Their customers are the searchers. They want to deliver a good user experience. So all of that counts. So and ACT fits in perfectly to all of this, because figuring out what they want and delivering on it, that's going to create trust, rapport. It's going to get you more customers. It's going to get you more prospects. It's going to give you the opportunity to show your value and make an offer. And the more offers you make, the more sales you're going to get. The more times you fail, the more times it gives you to find out what your objections were and eliminate them. You can keep sharpening your sword till you get 100% sell-through. You know, some people say that might not be possible, but I can guarantee you, I know a couple of salespeople that have 100% sell-through face-to-face. So anything that happens in the real world, I know you can automate. It's just a matter of the mechanism to do that. So Daryl, anything else? Was that it?
Nope, that's great. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. All right, Morgan.
Awesome. So I have a quick question before I go into my main question, because when you were talking about headlines, so I see a lot of people always put like #1 this company, and my old agency, they were always like, let's not say that because we don't want to get sued. What do you think of people that do?
Well,
I don't know.
I see this a lot in the service businesses. I see it a lot in local businesses. They say we're #1. We're a family business. We've been around for 50 years. All of that stuff is what is called platitudes.
Mm-hmm.
It's like where you're bragging about yourself. And first of all, nobody believes it. Like, you know, who says you're #1? You know, if I ask 10 people, would they all say you're #1? So now all of a sudden, now you're a liar. You don't want to be a liar, right? So I would personally, I would never come across that way. I would throw all the platitudes out the window. Nobody cares how long you've been in business. You know, that might come across in your testimonial section, but if you're up grabbing their attention with that platitudes don't really grab attention. It's like if you want somebody to say, or actually rather, you don't want them to be able to say, so what? Anything that you state, you do not want them to say, so what? Like if you say, I'm #1, so what? What does that mean? You don't want them to be able to say that. You know, if you say, I've been in business 50 years, so what? Now, if you attach what you have to what they want, they're not going to say, so what about that? They're going to say, how does that work? Now you've just engaged them instead of repelling them. So I would always go about it that way. You never want to talk about yourself because nobody cares. I mean, I know that sounds brutal, but in this game, they really don't. They care about themselves, and the person that they trust most in this world is the one they see in the mirror. So the closer you can get to mirroring them, that's why the analysis piece is so important. That's why figuring out who your avatar is so important. So you can figure out how you're going to chameleon to being like them so they can associate with you. And they're going to be drawn to you. The closer you replicate them, the closer they feel that you are like them and that you understand them, the more they're going to be attracted to you, the more they're going to want to work with you. So that's why that process is so important. But again, they don't care about you. They don't care about any stuff other than themselves. Like if they're online, let's say somebody has, you know, acne, just for example, they've got acne. They go online because they have a problem and they're looking for a solution, right? Who do they care about? Themselves, right? They're looking for a solution for themselves. They're not looking to find out your history. They don't care. They're not looking to find out, you know, how long you've been in business. They don't care. All they want is they want to fix themselves because that's who they care about. They care about themselves. Now, if you talk about a solution that will get them what they want fast and cheap and 100% guarantee, you know, if that's even possible, I don't know. But that's what's going to be music to their ears. That's what's going to get them to lean forward and say, tell me more. How do I get it. That's what you have to be concerned with, is them. You know, the only time I would bring myself into that is say, you know, I know how you're feeling because I once had acne too. And I know all the things you're up against. I know I could probably list all the things you've tried because I tried them too.
Yeah.
But now what you're doing is you're positioning yourself in the mirror so they see themselves in you. That's the only way I would talk about myself in that capacity, is just to mirror them. Because the more they feel like you've walked a mile in their shoes and you understand them, the more likely they are to want to purchase from you. They want to do business with you. It's like last week I talked about the scenario of Batman. And in fact, I've got my Batman shirt on today because of that. So in every story, there's a villain. And Batman is the one that always defeats the villain, right? So in the story, you're not Batman. You don't want to be Batman. You want your customer to be Batman. And you want to give Batman the tools to defeat the villain. If you can position them to be the hero in their own story, you've done your job well. So in the story of Batman, what you want to be is you want to be Alfred. You don't want to be Batman. You want to be Alfred. Alfred is the one that provides Batman with the secret powers. Who does Batman go to consult? It's Alfred. Who builds the tools for Batman to be successful? Alfred. Who does Batman depend on? Alfred. So you want to be Alfred. You want to provide the tools. You want to be the trusted source to give Batman his power to defeat the villain. So when you're crafting your message, that's who you want to be. You want to be Alfred.
And then another question I have is, so like I've been optimizing this website, and I noticed that every single year it falls down to like a certain number of clicks. And I know that measuring clicks is not the end all be all for SEO, because it's really about the value of the people, like that you're bringing in, like the average session duration, bounce rate. But some customers, like in their minds, don't get out of that some headspace sometimes. But I noticed it just falls in there, but our impressions are like continuously grow, but the clicks are not, like, they just keep falling at this particular time of year in this like 1 month, and they seem to be in that same range. Is that always going to be the case?
Not necessarily. There's a lot of factors behind that.
Yeah.
But one thing that you might have is you might have more competitors. I mean, that's a natural thing. If you were doing SEO, 20 years ago, like when I started in here, I was more than 20 years ago. It was like taking candy from a baby. There was nobody competing, and the ones that were, they didn't know what they were doing. So it was super easy. But as time went on and the whole thing evolved and people got smarter and smarter and smarter, it became harder and harder and harder to keep at the top, because more people were doing the same things to get there. So it's a natural progression of you having more competition. So you're going to have to sharpen your SEO sword, and you're going to have to do more and be better all the time. That's never going to change. If you look at SEO now, it's 100 times harder than it was, 20 years ago. And if you look at the next 5 years, it's going to get even harder, because what's happening is, before, it didn't matter what your content was like. All Google was looking at was certain variables. But now with AI, with the advent of AI and them using that to learn what a good user experience is, it's getting almost impossible to game the system. SEO is about gaming the system, right? And for the most part. But what SEO needs to become for you is, it needs to become you building a good user experience and a good user journey. You still have to do the SEO factors to get up to the top, to get in the test zone where they can split test you against your competitors. But if you're going to stay there, you have to deliver on the goods. So when somebody hits that page, they need to click. When they click, they need to stay. And when they stay and leave, they need to come back. So if you're not getting them on a mailing list, if you're not able to get them to click and get them to opt in for something, then you need to sharpen your sword there, because what Google is really going to value is those people coming back. So when you get them on your mailing list, you're going to send follow-up emails to them. You're going to give them different reasons. You're going to give them more of what they asked for. You know, Frank Kern, he calls that stacking the cool. His thing is, you give them something, you know, you offer them something really cool to begin with, and they take you up on the offer, and you're cool now because you gave them something cool. But he calls this stacking the cool and giving them more than you promised. So you might give them the free thing and everything is great. They love it. They love the information. Now you follow up with an email and you say, you know, thank you again for getting the free thing. I'm hoping that you're enjoying it. And I've got actually more to give you. Here's a link to get this thing. And you give them more. You give them more than they bargained for. And in the things that you're giving them more of, you're taking them from a click link in an email back to a web page on your website. And Google sees all of that. Google sees the person returning to the site, whether they went through their search or not. They see all that activity. So when they see that, they're like, wow, we started a relationship here. You know, they're in the relationship business. So they started a relationship there and they like that. They want to start more solid relationships. They know that's how they retain value. They know that that's how people want that relationship. So they come to Google to get it. So they value that very highly. And in SEO, you're going to see a lot more of that. Like Perry Belcher, I don't know if you guys know him. He was from the Digital Marketer Group. He came to me several years ago and he said, I want you to figure out why something's happening. And I said, okay, you know, give me the details. And he said, we have a web page that we put up. We didn't optimize it. We put it up and it's outranking pages that we put up for the specific reason that we optimized for those keywords. And this page we didn't optimize is kicking its butt. He goes, how is that possible? And I started looking at what they were doing. They had a landing page, like he said, they just put up, wasn't optimized. The title sucked, the description sucked. And this page was outranking the pages they optimized for the same keyword. What I found was they were literally sending out thousands, tens of thousands of emails, giving people a direct link to that unoptimized page. And because Google saw people coming to that page, even though they weren't going through search to get there, they were coming direct to that page, that gave it. Remember I said that this is a points-based game and whoever has the most points at the end of the day is going to win? Well, those points from that direct traffic from those emails outweighed the points of everyone else optimizing the crap out of their other pages. That one thing outweighed that factor. So the user experience tells me it's big, it weighs a lot, and you want to put that on your side if you're trying to do optimization. Outside traffic going to a page means a lot. So that's why link building is one of the biggest pieces of SEO, and it has been for a very long time. Google looks at it as if people outside, if third-party websites link to you as a resource, as like for a keyword, they're like, hey, go over here to find out more about this keyword. They see that as high value because other people are pointing to you for that content. Now, that's an easily gamed system. A lot of people build these link networks just to put links on them to get that value. But again, Google's AI is getting smarter by the day, by the minute. And what it sees is it sees a site that has 10,000 links coming to it that used to be very valuable because of the number of links. But then it says, wow, nobody's clicking these links. Now, all of a sudden, it's like that site's not very important anymore. So their link building just went from, top banana to low man on the totem pole. So it's no longer about the amount of links you have. It's about the number of people that follow them and what the experience looks like after they follow them. So if you're doing link building for your SEO, you need to focus on putting your links on sites that's going to bring you the right people, not garbage, not spam, not junk links. Those don't help you anymore. In fact, I think they probably hurt you. So that's one of the big factors. So was there more to your question, or did I get it effectively?
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Cool. Sometimes I get to the end of the question. I don't even remember what the beginning question was. So I'm not sure if I got it or not. But cool. All right. Who's up next? Anybody got, I don't see any hands up. Somebody's got to want something. I could not have dished out all of my information now, have I? All right, Linda.
Okay, could you talk a little bit about Google Analytics and then the new thing, the GA4, whatever it is?
Okay. Yeah, Google Analytics has pretty much run its course as far as, its life cycle, and they're changing it out now, which is going to be a major pain because a lot of people put Google Analytics on their site years and years and years ago, and they don't even know how they did it. And now all of a sudden they're going to have to upgrade it to this new thing that they've come out with. But in essence, the whole reason Google got into the analytics business was to protect their algorithm. Most people don't know that, but that's why they did it. They didn't do it to be helpful and give you analytics. They didn't give it to you to help you understand how to optimize your site to manipulate their results. They gave it to you to protect their algorithm. And when it first came out, the program that they call Google Analytics was originally called Urchin. And it was from a company in San Diego that was under the same name, Urchin. And it was the most phenomenal analytics that the world had ever seen, in the online space. It was absolutely incredible. I was one of the first ones to buy open license to it so I could put it on all my servers and give it to all of my hosting customers. It was absolutely amazing. It would give you incredible analytics. It would tell you what keywords people were coming to the site from. It would tell you what URLs the traffic was coming from. You had a full map out picture of how people were coming to your site and why. And Google didn't like that. Google didn't want you to know all that information because as an SEO person, it gave me incredible power to know what was working and what keywords I should be focused on. And they didn't like that. So the first thing they did was they bought the company. They bought Urchin. They killed it. They renamed it to Google Analytics, and they gave it away for free because Urchin was a paid program. You had to pay for the Urchin software. And again, they just didn't like it. So they bought it, gave it to everyone for free, and they stripped a lot of the data out of it that they didn't want you to have. And, in my opinion, because I used it before and I knew what it did, in my opinion, they made it worthless. Everybody fell in love with it because it was giving them easy access for free to stuff that they didn't have before. But for me, I know what they took out of it. So I'm like, oh man, they just took something good and they killed it. So, and as time went on, they stripped more and more and more data out of it. In fact, it became a real pain in the ass for me because I had clients that I was doing SEO for that could no longer see the value of what I was doing because they stripped the information out of it. Like, you know, they say, well, we're paying you to optimize for this particular keyword. And what would happen is they stripped the data out, so they couldn't see the activity. And they no longer saw the activity of all the ancillary benefit that what I was doing for them, you know, that was all happening. They couldn't see it anymore. So from my standpoint, it was a serious thorn in my side for them to do that. Like when you optimize for a particular keyword or a set of keywords, generally what happens is those keywords don't go up first. There's a whole bunch of other, you know, highly related, but much less specific keywords that rise first. And you start getting benefit and traction, and then the main keywords finally come up on the last round of the play. But they get a tremendous amount of benefit out of SEO on the first action of all those other keywords rising. And they just stripped all that out. So the new one, I have not played with the new version of Google Analytics myself yet. So I don't really know much about it, but I'm sure it's going to have less, not more, based on history. And, you know, it's probably just new technology. The other one probably just got so out of date, they had to scrap it. And I know that, you know, with the web, the evolution of the web and the changing of it, the privacy and you know, all the new rules about cookies and all this stuff probably had some conflicts that they needed to address. So I don't know the exact details behind why they're doing it, but I do know that it is a program. For those of you that are not familiar with it, it's a program that you can install on your website, and it tracks your analytics. It tracks like how many people come to the site, but it's highly inaccurate. It's
Oh, really?
highly inaccurate. Yeah.
Wow.
We we sell SEO software. One of our divisions of our company sells SEO software, and the software runs on apps on Android phones. And our apps are actually doing the ranking reports. And in many cases, we're also reporting on how many visitors are coming through our software. And that's dead on. I mean, we know that to be accurate. And Google Analytics doesn't match it. In fact, not even close. So they think our software is broken, when in reality, Google is just not telling them the truth. So, you know, that is one of our biggest support issues with our SEO software, is the whole conversation about analytics. It's like, why does your analytics not match what Google Analytics says? Because Google Analytics lies, basically.
Wow. So there's two kinds of ads, I think, that you can put on. One is called Performance Max or something, and then there's another kind of ad. And I was somewhere where somebody had said, don't do the Performance Max because you're wasting your money.
Okay. Well, that is an opinion I don't believe in.
Okay.
Google Performance Max is a brand new evolution of pay-per-click. And it's ultimately, I believe it's probably going to replace that altogether. I think it's going to replace the regular pay-per-click altogether at some point. It is based on their AI. It's based on, it's a lot more complicated. It's a lot more complex, and it will probably cost you more. This is where they say you're going to spend more money or whatever. It's probably going to cost you more in the beginning for its AI to learn. But once it learns who your ideal customer is and how to get your ads in front of them, it's going to outperform all the rest, hands down.
So that won't be a lie.
No.
Okay.
But it's only in the beginning. It's only in the beginning. And this is the same for any ad campaign. If you throw money at an ad campaign and you judge it too soon, you will have wasted your money 100%. Like Facebook's like that. Facebook has an algorithm. It's learning how to sell your stuff. It's not going to know it the first month. It's going to take a lot of data for it to really figure out, kick in, and start putting the ads in front of the right people. Google is no different. And with Performance Max is, it's not just pay-per-click. Performance Max is actually making the ads for you. It will actually write your copy just like AI does. It'll figure out what is getting people to react. It goes back, I talk about them knowing everything that goes on the internet. So Google Performance Max, one of the things they can do is they can look at what you're selling, and it can look at all the other people that sell a similar product, and they can go back to the people that purchased that product, and they can follow back in history their timeline, and they can see, okay, what did this person do that led them to this purchase, right? And then they can look at the whole universe of traffic, and they can say, who else is in the same mode? These are potential customers. They're taking the same steps that these other ones took to make this type of purchase. And they can start plopping your ads in front of those people that are in motion, ready to buy what you're offering. I mean, imagine how much more powerful that would be than you going in and saying, yeah, Google, I want to buy ads based on people that are running this keyword that you have no idea if they're going to buy or not.
Right.
And, so Google Performance Max, ultimately, for those that figure out how to dial that in, how to optimize that, are probably going to be the winners, in the next couple of years of online advertising. That's going to be a really, like, if somebody was getting into digital marketing right now, I would advise them, if you want to build just a killer business that is going to make you buku bucks over the next few years, figure out Performance Max. Become a Performance Max master. People are going to want those benefits that could deliver. That would be a path I could send somebody down very confidently and say, this is going to be a good business over the next few years.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's good to know. Thank you so much.
Sure. All right, Lily.
Hey, John and everyone.
Hello.
Hi. So I have a question, but I have another question on the topic you were just talking about now. As you were saying, you would advise someone going into online marketing to get into Google Performance Max confidently. And just curious, where would you have them start? Is there a place to begin?
Well, yeah, basically the first thing would be to learn about it. The second thing would be to find some people, some potential customers, and maybe offer to do the service for free. If you don't have a track record and you need somebody to test, because it's going to cost a lot of money to buy the traffic, right? And a lot of times you won't have the money yourself to spend to do that, to get the results. But if you can find like a client, I would approach my client base and I would say, hey, I'm looking to start up this new thing. Here's all the benefits of it. I know how to do it. I'm looking for somebody that is going to be a test case. I will do it for either no or very little cost to get the results. I need a case study. I'm looking for somebody that is willing to spend this amount in ad spend. I will direct it. I will create the campaigns. I will manage the account, and I will effectively spend your money in this new thing to get you this result. And it's pretty easy to find a customer that'll do that. But you have to find one that's the right size, because you don't want to go into this with like a $10 a day budget. You want a client that's going to have, you know, a few $100s a day that they don't mind burning to test something out. It's, you know, they've got that kind of budget. You're not looking for somebody that's new to advertising. You don't want them cutting their teeth on you on this.
Mhm.
You want an experienced, established company that you can offer them an advantage. And then once you do that, now you can get in there and you can get your hands dirty and you can run a campaign and you can learn the things you need to learn. You can put to work what you've learned already, and you can start sharpening your sword. And then once you've got a confident case study under your belt, now you have a viable service that you can offer. And typically, like in the ad spend industry, I can tell you the typical management fee is 10% of the ad spend. And usually they have a minimum $500 a month management fee. So basically what that means, if you're doing a 10% and you're at $500 minimum, that means that they could run up to $5,000 of ad spend for that 500 minimum per month. If they go above that, like let's say you run the ad campaign and they're spending $3,000 to $5,000 a month and it's working, you're making them profit. Now they want to scale up. They come back to you and they say, okay, you know, we'd like to advance this. We'd like to push this up to 10,000 ad budget per month. So now you're 10% of that. So your fee just went up to $1,000 per month.
Mhm.
You know, and then you get 10 of those clients. Now you got $10,000 a month management fees coming in. You hire a VA or someone in-house, you teach them how to manage the campaigns, you pay them a couple $1,000s a month, and you go on vacation.
Mhm.
Go get your head clear, come back and say, how am I going to do this again? I need 10 more clients.
Mhm.
You
That's
cookie
awesome.
cutter.
Mhm.
So you'll need another VA to do the next 10. And now you'll not have 8,000, you'll have 16,000 for your next vacation.
Amazing plan. Okay, I took a lot of notes. Thank you.
That's how I would do it. That's how I got into the commercial photography industry. I offered to do the first job for free.
Mhm.
I went after a big company. I didn't want a little company. I wanted a good example of my work. So I went
Mhm.
after a big company, gave them the first job for free, and I took all the work away from the other photographer. And that was it. I mean, that was a
No.
little springboard to a phenomenal career. And the
Mm.
only thing that ended it was technology. Photoshop
Mm.
came in. What I did doesn't even exist anymore.
Mm.
Special effects photography now is all digital. I did it on
Mhm.
film.
Mhm.
So
Yep. Okay. What was the other question I had? About, oh, it was about Chat GPT. I'm still trying to figure out, how to come up with the best prompts, to get it to provide the information that I'm looking for. And I was on there yesterday and it was asking me, I was asking it to write a letter for someone. And the response was that it couldn't do that because it was an AI machine and it cannot write personalized letters, is what it said to me.
correct. So
Um,
it will do it. You have to
mhm.
give it the information. Like if you download my book, the free AI book online, do you know about that?
No.
It's if you go to internetdominator.com/AI book, you can download it free. I put some prompts in there that I've been using, and you literally tell it what it is, and then you tell it who it's talking to, and you give it details about them, and then it can write personalized stuff. You just have to give it enough information that it knows who it's writing to, what it's writing about, all that kind of stuff. So and
Okay,
also
yeah.
another thing that you can do, I think Jay threw this out on the last call, was you can ask it what are the best prompts to use to get this result. So
Okay.
it will help you with your prompts. And I also wanted to update you guys. I talked about this, I think a few weeks ago, that I pulled it up and I created content for one of my clients' websites that he didn't have content. And that's why he's yelling at me, because the site wasn't ranking, because he hadn't given me content for his site to get it to rank, right? So I'm like caught in the middle of this thing. And the blame is obviously coming on me because the site's not ranking, yet he has not provided me what I needed to get it to rank. So I pull up ChatGPT and I said, I need content for, it was a pool site and it was in Santa Clarita. And I gave it a bunch of details about the business and what they did, the services they offer, and it spit out the copy for me. And I thought that was just way too easy. I paste the content onto his homepage, and then he had like 3 or 4 service pages. So I went back to ChatGPT and I said, this is awesome. Can you write me a unique article about natural gas pool heaters? Being, from an installation standpoint in the Santa Clarita area. Boom, it knocked the content out. And part of the prompt, I said, make it SEO optimized. So it was creating me SEO optimized content. I literally pasted it in, and I just got an email this week from the same client, said, I don't know what you did, but I just Googled my site for the keywords and we're at the top on all of them. Just from
Fabulous.
ChatGPT spit the content out. It was so good, I didn't even have to edit it. I did 0 editing on it. It was perfect content. Awesome. I mean, when I have professional copywriters write copy for me that's SEO optimized, I always have to edit it. I haven't had to edit anything that came out of ChatGPT. That's how good it is. It's really phenomenal.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Anybody else before we wrap up? All right. Well, cool. I didn't have anything necessarily to bring out this week. So it's just all about you guys. So if that's it, we will call it a day and let you guys get back to it. Helen, did you have a question or are you just saying
No,
bye?
I just wanted to say goodbye and thank you. And I'm still having problems with that stupid program that I want to cancel, but what can I say? I'm terrible with something I don't like. I can't remember the name. But I'll
marketing blocks.
Marketing. Oh my God, you're great. How can you remember things like that?
I'm just that good.
You sure are. But I was just wondering, like, I really want to get out of it, and I can't find who sold it to me. And I know you're the one who told me about it.
Yeah, go to JVZoo.
And yeah, I went to JVZoo and they said, well, you have to cancel it from the person who bought it, and
Correct.
And it
But
was them.
In JVZoo, that's the company that you bought it through their link.
Oh, really?
So you'll have an account in there, and it will give you all the contact information of the company that you purchased from. So that's how you would contact them.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Yeah, log into your JVZoo account and go to My Purchases, and it will show it there. You click on it, and it'll give you all their contact information.
Okay, well, I will look at that right now. Thank you very much. You're
very
I can't believe it.
I tell everybody I can't lose weight because then I can't say I'm worth my weight in gold anymore. That's my excuse.
Well, if you want to lose weight, I can send you some information.
I have to retain my status, though, worth my weight in gold.
Absolutely, yes.
Just start saying you're worth your weight in platinum.
There you go. Well, pretty soon I'm going to say I'm worth my weight in XRP.
Amen, brother.
Anyway, thanks a lot and goodbye.
Okay. All right. Anything else before we tie it up for the day? All right,
Thanks,
guys.
John.
Well,
Good stuff, man.
yeah, thanks everybody for being on. And Jay, I'll probably see you in about an hour and a half.
You will indeed. You will indeed.
Our crypto call. All right, guys. Well, have a great rest of the week, and we will see you back here. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Robin to the Bat Cave.
All right. Have a great day, guys.